Previously on Just Drawz.
This two-part episode dives into what happens when friendships change, when silence creeps in, and when those two parties or entities finally sit down to unpack the why. So I told a story about a friend whom I felt I had broken away from. And well, instead of me talking about it, why don't y'all just watch this clip? I've been there for her. And so I backed away from her because I don't get that back. Like I don't get a phone call. I don't get a text. I don't get like anything from her. And then like if I come into town, it's like, well, when I go back home to North Carolina, I'm like, okay, well, like if I want to see you, I have to do all of the work. I did kind of, to put it back on me, I did feel like reaching out, or I felt like I wanted to reach out, but I didn't reach out because I felt like it was going to be more of the same. It was like, okay, well, I can reach out, but why? I could say, hey, I'm in town. Let's go to dinner. She gonna say, okay, well, I'll let you know. I got to work and I got this and I got that. And then I'm going to end up being disappointed. So in order for me to not be disappointed, let me just not ask. Let me not, do that.
Keep it surface.
I'm going to just keep it surface. Yeah, I will get my news from her on social media. Oh, she went on a cruise. Oh, nice. Yeah.
Listen, and that's another thing. I post sporadically on social media, and and I'm getting away from that because I feel like now a place in my life, Mike is teaching me more so to be in the moment. And, when we have moments like we go out to, we have that, we go out to eat and it's nothing, spectacular.
Yeah,
we go to Chili's, have a drink. It's just the time we spend. So I understand that at time. I say that all the time. Time is the most precious commodity and it costs you absolutely nothing.
We now continue with part 2.
What's up, everybody? You've tuned in to Just Drawz, the podcast that explores hot topics and various experiences among same-gender loving Black men. In each episode, we offer raw, vulnerable, and stripped-down perspectives to give voice to our frequently overlooked population. Here, we don't just scratch the surface, we dive deep, peeling back the layers of our experiences as well as heteronormative stereotypes. Let's get into this week's episode. I had this lofty dream of how our friend group's friendship was going to go.
I remember you said something about that.
I was like, okay, these are my people. I don't care about having no other friends. If I don't make no more friends, it's these 4 right here. I'm good to go. And in my mind, what's her name? Heather Headley, I think was in my mind. That was in my, yeah. So I was like, in my mind, I was like, all right, here's what it's going to be. We're going to be at each other's weddings. We're going to be there for the birth of each other's children. Like these are going to be my ride or dies until we get out of here. That was my whole thing. And then I can remember when some of those friendships started to fall off. I remember Brian initially was more so I was like, listen, I've tried to reach out. I can't get him. I can't do it. I don't know what it is. I'm just going to back off. And then Martinet and I kind of fell out a little bit. And I don't know. And I remember the night I called you to tell you that I don't know what happened with us and why things were the way they were and why he was kind of treating me the way, because I was in college and I had come home from college. And I remember that. And I was like upset. Now I don't get upset. Yeah, I don't get upset. But you could hear it in my voice. You were like, ooh, he was like, I can hear that you're upset. And I was like, yeah, I don't emote like this, And I mean, it was like one of those, my throat got tight, kind of thing. And so then it was just you and Stacy left. And I tried to hang on as long as I could. Stacy, had her son, and then her responsibility shifted. So yeah, I had this whole thing about, oh, you know what, we're going to be this for life, and now I think, having grown up and understood some things and understood myself a little bit more and done some therapy too, I see that our friendship now could still exist, but it's not going to exist in the ways that I envisioned it existing. And I have to be okay with that. And that was what was more of a hard pill to swallow, was like, okay, I got to be okay with the change. I got to be okay with how this is going to look differently than the way that I laid it out and planned it out and had all of this, structured in my mind. So that,
So do you
yeah.
do
Go
you
ahead.
do you think that the you needed to mourn that
Mm-hmm.
the idea of how you had it built up in your head versus the reality of what it actually became?
Yes. Yeah. I definitely had to. I had to, and I think, again, that was where the hurt came from. It was
Mhm.
unintentional, but that's where the hurt came from, because I was mourning the death of not only the friend group and the support group that I thought I had, but I was mourning the death of this trajectory, or these thoughts, or this future that I had built.
Mhm.
And prior to that, I'm not sure that I had that sort of loss.
Mm.
And
Okay.
that's what had hurt, because, like, I mean, you all know that when I put my mind to something, it's going to get done. If I
Mhm.
said, I remember, I put so much work into, remember the day that we all went out and I got everybody those airbrushed shirts.
Yes.
Okay. I had that. I had that planned for months. Like, I was like, okay, I got to get shirts for everybody. I'm going to go pay to get everybody's shirts airbrushed with their names and stuff on the back. And then I didn't care what we did that day, but I wanted to spend the entire day with everybody, because I think I
Mhm.
was leaving to go to college. And
Mhm.
everybody else, Stacy was still in high school.
Mhm.
You were going in state, or you were going in
Mhm.
in the
The
area.
city. Yeah.
Yeah, in the city. Martinet was going in the city, and I don't know what the hell Brian was doing, but looking for another job, I guess. I don't know. But so I was going away. I was the only one that was going away, and so I was like, I
Yeah.
need to spend all of a whole day with y'all. And there were points where, honestly, looking back, I felt like people were doing it just because it was me. They were just like, okay, well, he's put all this in here, so let me hang out. Let me do all that he wants to do, because then it is what it is. But I didn't feel that. I felt like, okay, yes, everybody's here. I finally got everybody here. Let's take pictures. I need to remember this. And so, yeah, so it was difficult. It was difficult. And it would have been easier to swallow, I think, if all of it had happened at one time. If I experienced that loss at once. But it was, like I said earlier, it was gradual. It was, okay, this person died, or this relationship kind of fell off,
The
then this relationship fell off, then this relationship fell off, and it was like, okay, whoa, 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 this is a lot. This is a lot here. So
Do you think that this friend group began the process of you cocooning yourself into a place where you didn't put that much, like, moving forward, you had friends, but after you got burnt, you felt you got burnt so many times, you are only going to put so much of yourself into that friendship, or any new friendship or relationship that you got, because of you didn't want to feel that kind of rejection in your mind again?
that's a
Do you
really
think
good
it provided the formula of where you are now?
that's a really good question. I will say this. What it did was, it made me it made me ease into relationships more than I did. And that caution is not a bad thing, but
Mhm.
sometimes that caution, because I'm so cautious, and because I'm so careful, with things, that sometimes that doesn't work for people because I'm not moving fast enough, or I'm going so slow because I'm like, okay, well, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want that. And the other thing that it taught me was that I really value what my definition of consistency is, and I absolutely value reciprocity. And so for me, it's okay, if I'm starting to see that there's lack of reciprocity, I'm already withdrawing. The drawbridge is going back up. And, you can stay right out there.
Look, don't worry about paying your toll. You good.
You got it. You good. You good. Stay right out there.
Yeah.
And maybe at some point the toll road will open back up.
Right.
But right now it's not. And so it has taught me that. And again, like I said, it's taught me to be a lot more cautious in those relationships. Sometimes I just want to throw caution to the wind, as the cliche says, but it's difficult. It's difficult because, like you said, I don't want to experience that loss and hurt again. And I have experienced it like a few times, but it's par for the course. I understand that it has to happen.
Yeah. And I will say, I was talking about my superpower, but I believe that honestly, that's your superpower, one of your many superpowers, because you are not for nothing a hell of a friend. You understand what I'm saying? When you're in somebody's corner, you're all in, balls to the wall. You're down like 4 flat. So never, I hate that. And there's nothing wrong with being cautious. I just don't ever want you to have so much of caution tape around you or around that situation that you miss out on something awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I receive that.
And and just gauge. I would say gauge each situation, because I'm you know me, I'm an eternal optimist. I always, when I'm gonna give somebody, even though they have been like that little baboon in the zoo that bends over and wiggles his little red ass, I'm gonna say, well, you know what? Just give him a chance to warm up to you, because Lord knows I've tried to be Brian's cheerleader for years, and everybody has told me, "You fool, let it go." Why? Why are you like this?
I'm everybody. I'm one of
listen,
everybody. Absolutely.
But he said, well, look, you can continue to believe that. I'm going to live in the real world. You can still live there in your little utopia and still hold out hope. But I'm going to keep that light on in the end.
It was different. But like you said earlier, it was different between you two. You were getting things that the rest of us were not getting. And so I was completely like, okay, I don't. And I think I asked you that one time. I was like, okay, what is it about you?
And you didn't answer
that he will reach back. And so sometimes I'd be like, okay, look, I just called him. He ain't answering the phone.
You call him.
I bet you he'll answer. I bet you he'll answer the damn phone.
And he answer.
And would answer the phone.
Like,
and I'm like,
because I'd be like, please don't answer. Please don't answer. Please don't answer.
And I was like,
and then he'll answer, and he was like, soon as I can kick it, oh, you can answer for this, but you can't answer for me. You didn't see me. I said, oh Lord.
Yep, that sounds just like me.
Yeah,
I remember that. So,
as soon as we hang up, see, that's the shit I'm talking about.
Okay, that's me all day, and that finger, all of that was me all day. That's the bullshit I'm talking about right there. So,
but I just not for nothing. I hope, like I say, there's nothing wrong with being cautious, but I just, like I say, I don't want you to be so cautious and be like, you know what, this is giving me remnants of shit I've experienced in the past. I'm good on that. And it very well, it may not even be that. I just say gauge each situation on the individual and not your experience.
And I do give people the benefit of the doubt early on. Absolutely. Like I don't come into a situation completely closed off. I usually come into a situation with the door cracked, at least you know, and then you can
Deep
push it
running it.
on. You can push it on open, you know, and
Put your foot right there.
I'll allow you to push it open. But then, yeah, it's not right there at the front of the door, but it is a little bit back. And I'm like, okay, you can come in a little bit, you know. Okay, now wait. Hold on. Now you doing what now? Hold on, back up a little bit. Yeah. Wait. Ho. You know. So it's that, but I do go into, you know, new relationships and new situations with an open mind, and I try to understand. That's also led me to why I ask so many questions when I'm experiencing somebody new, whether that's a romantic relationship or whether that's a friendship. I usually will ask a lot of questions, or if they're volunteering a lot of information, I'm just collecting that intel and I'm going, okay, because there have been people who are like, oh, well, do you have any questions for me? And I'm like, no, I don't, because I'm actually listening to what you're telling me and I'm learning things about you as I go. And they're like, well, what did you learn? You know, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll tell you later, but there's a lot.
And yeah. And see, right, and that's you, because you're so damn analytical.
That's right.
You're in the background, and your mind is like a little typewriter.
Yeah, that cog is rolling, and it's like, oh,
You know?
okay.
And
What?
so at the end, you have a synopsis, and it's probably a point system.
It
And
is
depending upon how high or low that score is, tells
the
you how far
rubric.
you go.
The rubric, yeah.
Yes, how far this is gonna go. You know, at the end of that conversation, by the end of the night, you know where this is going.
And we're
They may
and
not.
yeah, Jeff and I were just talking about that, about how I compartmentalize people. And I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
there are people who I'm like, okay, cool. You're going over in this box. You're going in this box. You're going in this box. Everybody that's in this box, this is as far as I go. Everybody in this box, this is as far as I go. You don't even get close to me. So you're somebody I just look at. But then these people are the people that I let in, like, hey, you know, come on in. Our listeners,
Mhm.
our viewers are people that I've kind of let in a little bit more. So, you know.
And this, to me, for you, is really shocking, because you're being so vulnerable in this space, because that's never really been you. You
Yeah.
would only reveal certain aspects of yourself to people, but they have had to earn that. So for you to strip down and be this transparent, it's different. And I'm sure it's taking you probably places mentally. It's probably very cathartic for you
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
to be in this realm. So
And that was,
kudos
thank you.
to you
And
for
that was
that.
one of the reasons why I think our relationship still worked well, was because you were probably a lot, well, I was closed off, but you were the one that used to wear your heart on your sleeve.
Hmm.
And I was always the one that was like, okay, put your sleeve down. Like, put
Yes.
that sleeve
Do
down,
you got to
because
love everybody?
yeah, please, let's not. Let's not. This is an
Yeah.
asshole over here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
stop
And you see
loving on
it.
them. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know,
He's
but
like that. Mm-mm.
so there was a balance there. There was
Yeah.
the, you know, yin and yang there. I'm just, like I
Yeah.
told you, I'm there with my arms folded and you're there with your arms, you know,
Wide
outstretched.
open.
Yeah,
He's
you
like,
know.
I'm gonna have to be here to let her know that this person ain't shit.
That, yeah, they
You know.
ain't shit.
And,
They ain't
but
gonna
you
be
know what's
shit. They never
crazy?
was shit.
You have to, yeah, you have told me so many times. Well, this one ain't gonna last long. This is gonna be fleeting. I'm like, you ain't even giving. I don't need to. And,
You know, and
and,
it's crazy. I just thought about who I could have been talking about in one of
and
those instances when you said
mhm,
that. And I remember
mhm,
saying that to you. I was like,
mhm,
all right, this ain't
mhm.
gonna last. But
Yeah,
and
okay.
and I just told a friend of mine this morning, I was like, you know, I hate sometimes that I don't have filters in that respect, but I will just
No,
say, yeah, like, no.
yeah, come on,
When
come on.
I was,
But you know what? I come from a family that's like that. My grandmother was just like that. So it's I but see, again, I can receive that because that's what I come from. So,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I know that it's coming from a place of love. So it's
Right, right.
not
Absolutely. Yeah.
that the shade, none of that. None of that. So I know that regardless of what you're saying, I'm looking at not only the messenger, but I'm receiving the message. Now
Yeah, yeah.
I may have taken the scenic route in receiving the message, because
Yeah. But you got there.
Mama did. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
but
there.
you got there. But you got there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
would you have any expectations, I guess, for us moving forward?
um I just, you know what, for me, and you notice, like, even your text, you'll shoot a text, and I think you're a texter. Me, I get to text
I've become that, and I don't want to become that, but I have
because
become
you
that.
see, every time you do it, I pick up the phone and call.
Yeah. And
I've been doing
I'm
that because
completely fine with that.
I was like, okay, I'll text 2 or 3 words. Okay, I say this is not gonna end. I'm like, look, and these nails are just too much. I'm like, look, I'm at that age now. You'll get 2 or 3 responses, and then I'm picking up the phone. I was like, shit, it's easy for me to just talk to you, talk to me.
Yeah.
So I'm big on that. Do I have any expectations? I feel like this was very good for us. I think that this opened the door of us being more, or being more communicative.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm gonna make an effort. And the reason why I know it's not just you, because my mother-in-law, she gives me the business because, Nikki, look, I miss you. You could call me. Just pick up the phone. You don't have to. I know that you're busy.
Mm-hmm.
Just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Ma, how you doing?"
Hey,
Or
bye.
just text,
Cat
yeah,
dog. Mm-hmm.
yeah, something. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I know. So that's why I say it's not y'all, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, it's not so much wanting to consume so much of my time. It's just wanting to be connected or stay connected. And I need to be better about that. Because like I say, life is just too short. People are leaving here at an accelerated rate.
They are. Yeah.
And just like I'm big on telling my kids that I love them daily. Even though that's not something, I know my mom and my dad love me, but it's not something that I got every day. I'm conscious
Mm-hmm.
of telling them and showing them that I love them. And my boys, I'm like, oh my God, is she doing this again? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
mom, we get it. You love us. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Can you please leave? But I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Right.
I'm I'm I'm
Get out my
that,
room. Yeah.
Yeah. So I need to be more like that with everybody that means something to me, because I never want me to not be in their lives anymore. And you say, I wonder how she felt about me. So I never want anybody that I'm connected to ever have that moment where they even for 1 millisecond entertain that. And just know that you're in that group of people that I say that about. I never want you to ever wonder, was my friendship with her really real? Was she the type of friend to
Mm-hmm.
me that I was to her? And I never want you to have that question. And then, going back to that, um, as I call it, my diss record online. When
Mm-hmm.
you was having your conversation with your
Oh
your
yeah, yeah. And
peers.
I did say, when we got to the lunch and we talked a little bit, we caught up just a little bit. That was one of the first things that I knew I wanted to do, because I'm not going to talk about you behind your back if I have an opportunity to tell you in your face.
Right.
So when we met for lunch, I said, we sat down and I said, okay. I said, because she asked me, she said, how's the podcast going? And I said, it's going good. I said, now let me tell you, I had a conversation about you on an episode of the podcast. And so she was
I
like,
clutched
well,
my
what you say?
pearls. I
Well, what you say then? Come on and
said,
tell me now what you said. So I was like, all right, cool. I said, well, you know what? Better yet, I said, so I was trying to paraphrase it. And I said, you know what? Better yet, let me just let you hear it. So I pulled it up on my phone and I let her. I moved the clip that you all just listened to, and I put the clip on. And I told her, I said, well, just take a listen here. And so, of course, she couldn't get through all of it. She's stopping and trying to have a conversation with me in the middle of stuff. And I was like, will you finish listening to this shit before you start trying to have a conversation with me about it? And then she cut it back on and play a little bit more. And you know what? Keep listening, because I said that, I said this, I said that, So yeah, so that was where the thing was. And actually, her husband listened to a little bit of it too, and he didn't even finish it. He ended up just cutting the thing off and was like, you said exactly what I've been feeling with his own friends, or what he's been feeling with some of the people that were in
Mhm,
his life. And so
mhm,
we never revisited it. And I was just like, okay, that hit different, for him.
mhm,
So yeah.
mhm.
As far as me and expectations, I think that again, like you said earlier, the love was never gone. It was one of those things, like if you ever have a family member that you love, but you just like, okay, I love them. I'm going to just remember, what we used to do and all that, but I'm probably not going to reach out to them, or I'm probably not going to just kind of deal with them like that. But that was kind of where it was. But I do feel like, especially now that we're having this conversation and we had the previous conversation over lunch, that I think that now we understand where each other is in this relationship. And I think that the fact that we're now able to offer each other that grace and that forgiveness, that I think that we're going to essentially probably get back to where we were when we were in high school. Like I really feel that, because like I said, I can text you now and I get a text back, versus years ago, I could text you and wouldn't hear anything, or I could text you, or I could say I'm in town and wouldn't hear anything, from you. And I'm like, okay, well, that's what it is. But like now I'm feeling better about the level of communication, and I'm feeling the affirmation, even if you just say, hey, good morning, what's up, or what's going on, because actually this podcast, this specific episode, I believe was your idea.
Yeah.
So I was like, that would be dope. Like, let's get on here. Let's get on here and hash this out. Let's duke it out. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that would be dope. Let's do it. And everybody that I kind of mentioned the idea to was like, oh wow, that's gonna be kind of powerful, So yeah. So I think, that my expectation is that we will continue to communicate, that even if there's something that we haven't told each other, or it's something that we need to tell each other, that we won't hesitate in doing that. Yeah.
And I will say, and like I say, certain clips in my mind are coming to the forefront. Like when the gentleman, I don't know who it was, that asked that if you had something going on in your life, or something that was going on, do you feel like you could pick up the
Oh
phone
yeah.
to call her? And you was like, I probably wouldn't even reach out. And I was like, it's real. But it's sad, because I never want there to be, even with me having, going through my weight loss surgery, and you was like, well, damn, I had been through
Yeah.
the same
Now
thing. And it was like,
that pissed me off, made
yeah,
me mad,
yeah,
all of the
right,
shit at the same time. Cause
yeah,
I was like, how
right.
in the hell are you
This
going
fucker.
through weight loss?
Yeah,
Right. This
yeah,
motherfucker. How are you going through
yeah,
weight loss surgery? And I had weight loss surgery probably at that point. When
yeah.
did you have it? When did you have it?
2017.
Okay, so I had my surgery for 4 years prior to
Mm-hmm.
that. And I was like, now, how are you going through the same thing that I went through? Didn't
Right.
reach out to find out what was going on, or get any kind of inside
And what's
track.
crazy, you were there. You were there when you
And I
found
showed
out.
up at the hospital, and then,
Listen.
I've done a video on my weight loss surgery that might still be up on Wake Forest Baptist Health website. I'm
Okay.
not sure, but I did a video. I used to do the orientation sessions for people who were interested in getting the surgery. I was like the testimonial. So I was like, damn, like you could have easily called me and I would have given you all the inside track on everything you needed to do and how it
Listen.
was going to work and how it was going to, but
Listen.
I was pissed, and I
I
went off a couple times on you,
Yeah,
like maybe even
yeah.
at the hospital.
You
And I
could,
was
yes,
like,
you did. You did.
what?
I was like, can I get out the No, bitch, you can't. I was like, wait,
now,
listen,
now,
wait.
now, 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 everybody,
No,
I
you
did
did.
not call her a
They
bitch.
called bitch. He did.
I do not do that. So
No,
let's
he didn't.
let's make sure we put that out
No,
there.
listen. But no, it's just and I'm gonna say this. That to me was one of my most vulnerable moments in my life, because I was so unhappy with me. I had gotten to a place where I looked at my biggest weight was 263 pounds. I was uncomfortable in my skin. I was I mean, I was hopped up on anxiety meds, depression pills. Yeah, I was really, 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 really messed up and mentally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I didn't know how to process any of what I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that even though they send you through all of the therapy and all of that prior to, a lot of that they just push you through because they want you to have the surgery because that's money um that they're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that you have to be at a place mentally, you've got to be mentally prepared for that. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I was at first. I
Mm-hmm.
don't regret it.
Right,
I
right.
don't regret it. It was the best decision I could
Yeah,
have
me
made.
either. Me either. I would go back and do it
I
again.
yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
And but I knew where the direction that I was going in, that I had to do it
Yeah, yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't healthy at all. And because I am predisposed to a lot of health issues, as most African Americans
And yeah,
are,
right. I
with
was about
high
to say
blood,
most African Americans are.
diabetes,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
those type of things, I knew that it was inevitable. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew that I had children I wanted to live for.
Right, right.
Um, I wanted to be around for. And my parents had lost my brother. It was just me and my brother. So I could not put my health in a place where I could potentially not be here for them.
Right, right.
So
Mm-hmm.
I just could, so reaching out to you, it would have been a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
was embarrassed, and I don't know if that's normal.
I mean, it could be. Eh, I mean, I was kind of in the same space where I was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I'm definitely not happy where I am, but I hadn't been happy with where I was for a long time. I just kind of
Mhm.
dealt with it, but
Right.
yeah, it was a thing of I hate it. And when you kind of told me that, but in not so many words that you were
Yeah.
embarrassed, but I was just like, listen, it's me, dog. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
like I've
Yeah.
been here, so I would understand if anybody would understand. I
Yeah.
would understand because I've seen you at your smallest,
Yeah.
and you've seen me at my biggest,
Yeah.
so we were the number 10, and so
Stop.
I've been there, so I understood that and would have understood that. And so that was part of the reason, or part of my part of why I didn't go as hard as I kind of wanted to, because I was like, well, I understand where she's coming from in that, but still, like, damn, like, yeah, you could have just been like, hey, I'm thinking about having this, or I've already gone through the orientation of having this. I want to talk to you about how it was for you, and all of that stuff. So yeah, but I get it. I get it, and I don't fault you for how you felt in that. Absolutely not. But um, I do. If we had it to do all over again, of course, I'd be like,
Oh,
hey, I
absolutely.
want to, I'd love to be even more of a support for you. Even though I
Absolutely.
was there, I came down when you told me when the surgery was. I got off work, I
You did.
drove down,
You
and I was
did.
like, okay, let me come down and see you for a little bit. I ain't gonna stay long, but because I got work the next day, but at least I can come in.
And that's one thing I will say. Regardless of where we were or where you may have felt our relationship was, you never wavered in your support of me. So that's why I say, regardless to how I may have made you feel, you never made me feel like that there was a void.
Okay.
Even though it was like and that's the sad part for me. You set your feelings aside most of the time
Mm-hmm.
to be there for me. So there's no way that I would not take the opportunity to address any questions you had in
Mm-hmm.
regards to us. In my opinion, was there a void? There was never any void in my heart for you ever.
Mm-hmm.
There was never anything that you did, because I know there was a question one time, well, is there something that I did? No, never, nothing. You never made me feel
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable in any way.
Yeah.
So no,
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you take that from me. Are
Yeah.
you gonna? I'm gonna wear this. I'm going
Okay.
to wear
Okay.
this.
Because I was gonna say I mean, you were there for
Yeah,
me in a
yeah,
lot of ways. And so
right.
that was the least that I could do because you know how tense, my
Mm,
immediate family situation kind of was. So, but you were
mm.
always the person that I wanted to talk to. There was nobody else that I was like, I feel comfortable talking to this person, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna call her right now because I can say what I gotta say. I can curse. I can talk shit, and then I can joke and make a
Yes,
joke about some
yes.
stuff,
Listen,
and
and
move on.
I understand because I laugh till I
Yeah,
cry.
yeah,
So yeah,
because
I mean,
my family puts the fun in dysfunctional, and
listen, I listen. Talk to the hand
because the
because the
elbow
elbow
ain't
don't want to
even
hit.
okay. Trying to hear that shit.
So we're not
That
gonna talk about dysfunction.
please, oh my god, because that I on nights where I am sad, I think about those words that were uttered by your mom,
Oh
and
shit!
I
Listen,
feel all
matter of
right with the
fact,
world.
we were talking about that on the way from somewhere. I don't know where we were coming from,
Who, me and
and
you,
you
or you
brought
and
that up.
oh, we were coming from lunch that day when me,
Lunch,
you,
yeah,
and
yeah,
Mike
yeah,
went to
yeah,
lunch. Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah. And you talking about the
yeah,
elbow?
the elbow.
Don't listen.
Oh my god!
Listen.
And I mean, I still vividly remember sitting in the back
Yeah,
seat of
and
your
she
parents' car,
did this,
and she did
and
that,
did the
and
whole
I
motion.
was in
Sis,
tears
I
because
was embarrassed
I wanted to
beyond.
I wanted to scream
It
and I could not because it was supposed to be a serious moment and
was, and
I could she was
listen.
so serious and I was like I don't know.
Diane
I
was
can't.
dead
Yeah.
serious.
I it
Okay.
was that was a mess. It was an absolute
Yes,
mess.
and that's
Um
just one of many.
okay, yeah. I can't take too much more. I can't take too much more. Did
No,
so like do you feel like and we talked about this a little bit too. Do you feel like you've lost other friends along the way?
not ones that were worth saving.
Hmm. Okay, that's fair.
If if and because I'm loyal to a fault
Hmm.
in regards to giving people first, second, third, fourth, fifth chances. Um, Mike is kind of like you in that regard. You know, he's only going to give you, well, with him, he's only going to give you one time to burn him, and he's done.
Well, yeah, that's me. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I'll give you one
So
and a
yeah,
half.
yeah.
You know.
So me on the other hand, he's like, what's gonna take for you to see that? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a dub. And so now I'm in a place, like I say, I'm more. I used to be, and I guess a lot of people are like that when they're younger. It's more about
Mm-hmm.
quantity versus
Mm-hmm.
quality.
Right.
I'm
Right.
at an age now. It's about quantity.
Quality.
Quality. I'm
There you
sorry.
go. Yeah.
Quality.
Right. I was like,
Quality.
okay. Yeah.
I just said that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Quality. I'm about the value of a person versus
Mm-hmm.
and how they make me feel, how I feel when I'm around them,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have to have I don't have to have a room full of friends because I just feel like um I want people that I can tell my secrets to and I know that they're safe. You
And I
know.
think that comes with age though, because I'm the same way.
I
I
don't.
tell people all the time. I live in Baltimore, and I tell people all the time that I don't believe that I have friends here. I have
Okay.
people that I kick it with and that are cool and I love them for that, but I don't know that I have any like friends, like real true friends. All of my friends live other places and
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with that because that then forces me out of this space. It forces me out of my house, my
Mhm.
brownstone. It forces me out of the city, to like, okay, you know what? I haven't seen this person in a while. Let me go see them. Let me go hang out. Let me go, you know, do some things with them. Do you think that people who might have lost friends, do you think that we talk about that pain enough?
No,
Okay.
I think we mask it. and men especially.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I don't think that now, women, we feel, and we're gonna tell you how we feel into nauseam. Men, on the other hand, I think they are so accustomed to just taking it on the chin and keep going because they have to.
Yeah.
And being vulnerable is a sign of weakness sometimes. They don't really want to. I know that if and a lot of times I use my husband as an example.
I was gonna
If
say,
you
yeah.
hurt if you hurt
Pull him in,
him,
yeah.
if you hurt him, he'll never give you that opportunity again.
Right. Which
He'll
is
never
fair.
put,
Absolutely
he'll
fair.
never put himself in that situation where he'll give you that chance. If you were fortunate enough to get past that barbed wire fence and he lets you into a degree, but yet you burn him in any way, you'll never get that opportunity again. And I think that there are a lot of men that are like that, that
Yeah.
are, burn me once, shame on you. You won't get it again.
You won't get it again. Yeah. I'm again, like I said, I'm there a lot of the times, but I think the thing that brings me out of that is when the burner
Mhm.
actually is accountable for what they did and they own and stand in their shit. And then I'm okay with forgiveness. I'm okay with,
Okay.
okay, well, I'll give you another chance because you're standing in what you did and you're owning what you did. And you're not pointing fingers, or
Hmm.
you're not trying to make yourself out to be the victim. When I start to see that that's what's happening, then I'm like, okay, bet, I'm good. We can, we
Hmm.
can, we can move on from this.
Or you have some that are good. They will own their shit to get you to forgive them and do the shit again.
Yeah. And then at that point is where you start to go, okay, listen, remember when you did this the last time and you owned it, and I kind of let it ride. All right, you're doing the
Hmm.
same shit again, and now I'm not letting it ride. So I'm out, you know. Right.
Peace up.
Peace up. A-town. All right. So yeah, we out.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't think that we talk about that enough. And I think, like you said, it's masked because people don't want to be vulnerable, or they don't want to show that
Hmm.
vulnerability, because losing a friend is loss. You know what I'm saying? It's
Hmm.
something that you have to kind of go through. You almost have to go through the stages of grief the same way you would as if you physically lost a
Hmm.
person. And we're so conditioned to be strong. Oh, you got to be
Hmm.
strong. I got to be strong for this. I got to be strong. No, I can't let nobody see me be weak.
Hmm.
And it's like, but sometimes that's okay. It's okay to feel like that, because then that shows a level of humanity that you
Hmm.
have. And if we all walking around not being human, you know, we're gonna
Hmm.
get what we have now.
But
At
people
least the
don't
world that we're in now.
understand. You're right, and I don't think people understand that holding a lot of stuff in, that creates,
That'll make you sick.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that causes health issues. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, we as a community have enough of those.
Exactly.
I did not realize stress
Mm-hmm.
and heartache can cause the same
Mm-hmm.
ailments that
Mm-hmm.
smoking 10, 12 packs of cigarettes a day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Can cause. You just and I think that may be another reason why I try not to carry grudges like that, because
Okay.
I
Yeah.
just life is too short to just be what, because I grew up with daddy issues, you know that,
Oh yeah,
and
I do.
I had to get to a place where I had to let that go.
You
And
did.
once I,
And let me say this. I remember when you let that go, cuz I could not understand at no point how all of what I had heard about this man up until
hmm.
the point he got back into your life, and
Hmm.
you weren't completely fine with it,
Hmm.
but you were definitely very open to that. And I was
Hmm.
like, I don't get it, cuz that would not be me. I mean, I had dad issues too, but
Hmm.
I was locked in with how I felt. And I was like, I
Yeah.
do not understand how you're able to do this. Like, what are you talking about here? But yeah, you've always been that person.
And I had to let that go. And I had to realize what I realized, and it wasn't just even with my dad, it's even with my husband. We have a tendency to put our expectations on people. And it's not that individual's fault that they can't live up to our expectation.
Let me add to that. Let me add to that, or kind of shift that a little bit.
Hmm.
So I've been having these conversations with myself for the past maybe 2 or 3 months now, and I kind of feel like I came to a little bit of revelation in that there's a difference between standards and expectations. Standards, and this is how I'm seeing it. Standards are internal. They are things that are produced internally and they radiate out. So you have a standard of how you want to live. You have a standard of when you go out, y'all talk to me about a cruise that you all went on, a couple's cruise that you all went on. You all have a standard of the place that you wanted to stay, the whatever you wanted to stay at, the excursions you wanted to do. You had a standard. So that needs to radiate out and that needs to manifest outwardly, but it starts internally. Expectations are things you expect or that you want to receive from somebody else. But the only way that expectations are going to be met is you have to communicate those expectations to the other person so that they know that that's what this is. This is an expectation. This is not a standard. And I think sometimes what happens in society is we tend to conflate standard and expectation.
Hmm.
And
I agree with that.
yeah, and so that's where I think you were going with that. And I've been
Hmm.
waiting for a long time to be able to say that on a podcast. And I'm like, ooh, this is
A
how I
moment.
understand this. This
Yeah,
is my moment.
yeah.
This is my mic drop moment. But yeah, so
Right,
I think that's it.
because how he was as a father, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never understood how he could do the things that he did and say that he loved my brother and myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that was magnified when I became a parent
Yeah, yeah.
because I could never, being a parent, I'm not going to just say, just put it as being a mom, but being a
Right.
parent and ever be in a place where I would walk away from my family, my
Mm-hmm.
kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not built that way, right?
Right, right.
So in that, all that did was fuel that anger that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, you walked away from me and my brother, and you went to live with someone else, and they had children, and you had this child, her children, calling you dad in front of your children. So I
Mm-hmm.
carried that. So I had to get to a place. I said, well, you know what? Let me think about it like this. I had to look beyond my feelings. And even though I'm the child,
Mm-hmm.
I had to look beyond the surface of what I was seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, he did the best he could with what he had.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that he don't love me. Because when he said, because I used to, how could you love us? How?
Mm-hmm.
That love doesn't look like that.
Love don't live
But,
here no more.
right. And, but what I had to understand was maybe that's the best version of love that he was capable of giving. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that was his only way to show it. Maybe he was giving it the best he could. And I'm not trying to remove the responsibility from him
Mm-hmm.
or the wrongdoing of his action.
Right,
I
right.
don't want to take away from that, but I can't judge him because I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
judge. I'm not God. And once I realized that my
Mm-hmm.
dad did the best he could with what he had,
Mm-hmm.
I met him where he was.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I can't I can't expect him to give me this and he's not capable.
Yeah.
I can't
Mm-hmm.
expect Michael Jordan out of somebody that's not capable of reaching that height.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in that was okay. I say, okay, well, maybe my dad did love me and my brother. Maybe he
Mm-hmm.
does love us, but he's loving us the best way he knows how.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
love looks different for him than it would for me.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, his upbringing was totally different from my upbringing.
Right. Right.
So, you know, my mom grew up, you know, she was adamant about being in a situation, no matter how dysfunctional it was, just to say
Mm-hmm.
that, well, my kids grew up in the house with their father. That is not always the best situation.
Right. Right.
You know, you don't want us to be a statistic. Well, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I can't see that we were better for it. You
Right.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because I grew up in that. But,
Mm-hmm.
and again, I can't put all of that on him because my mom, she takes some of the responsibility. She take that, some of that burden has to fall in her lap.
Mm-hmm.
But again, when you become a parent, when you have children, it's not cookie cutter. It's not easy. Any decision that you make, it's not always going to be the right one. It's
Yeah.
not. You're going
That's
to
true.
make mistakes.
Yeah. And it's
So,
okay to make those mistakes,
yeah,
but it's also doubly okay to acknowledge that, hey, you know what? I made a mistake there. And I
right.
think that's the thing that we don't show
Hmm.
children now, that it's like, hey, you know what? I made a mistake. And people sometimes feel like, oh, well, I'm the parent. I need to always show this. I always need
Yeah,
to be this.
no,
I can't be wrong. You know, and it's like,
right.
no, no, you
No,
were wrong. You were wrong in
no,
that. And it's okay for me to tell you know what? My apologies. I'm my bad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. Or I said that wrong, or I did that wrong, you
yeah,
know. And
yeah,
and again, that teaches, I think that teaches our children. I don't have children, you know, I have a lot of nieces and
yeah.
nephews, but I think that teaches them to,
Accountability.
yeah, accountability. And it's like, okay, hey, you know what? You acknowledge that you did something wrong and you're the adult in the situation, you know. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
yeah,
it's okay to be the adult and, like you say, to say, I was wrong.
yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think we grew up with parents that knew how to say
We
that.
didn't. We didn't. I don't have one now. Or I don't have, yeah, I don't.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
Because that
Sorry.
lady is still talking about, well, I'm the mama and you need
Yeah,
to come,
see,
you know. Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's they stand on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't care how old you are. I'm still, well,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's fine, but you want me to be your friend though.
Mm-mm.
But you
Yeah.
ain't, you don't call your friends. You know, you don't. What's that about? You know. So whatever. So what do you, or what would you, let me take that back. Instead of saying you, what
Mhm.
do we want our listeners and viewers to take away from our story?
Um, it's okay to speak your truth.
Mm-hmm.
If that friendship relationship is worth salvaging,
Yeah, yeah.
you have to have you got to be honest. And sometimes it's hard to hear.
Mm-hmm.
But if
Mm-hmm.
that relationship is worth having and maintaining, you gotta do the work. You gotta put your big girl, big boy underwear on and say, hey, my
Your
bad.
your draws, everybody.
There you go.
Just
Just
draws.
draws. See
Okay.
how I set that hallelujah up.
You did. Set that
Uh,
up and I spike it.
it's, so I just being accountable, being a good listener.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, I did good tonight in not
You did.
finishing your sentencing.
You
And
did
I
an
said,
awesome job. You did an awesome job.
go star for Nikki.
You
I
did,
did
yeah,
that.
because
And you have to
that
understand,
irritates the dog shit out of me,
listen,
everybody. When we're talking, I'll start talking and she'll jump in and try to finish my sentence. And so it gets to the point that I'll just stop talking. And I said, nah, go ahead and finish it. Since you know what the hell I'm going to say, go ahead and finish it. Go
and then
on.
I just stopped
Do what you're
talking. I
going
was
to do.
like,
Yeah,
no,
and then she'll stop talking. Yeah. And I'm like,
because I
I'm
don't have
not going
nothing
to
to
say
say
anymore.
then.
Yeah.
Once he stopped talking, I had nothing to say because I don't know where to go
Yeah.
with it, you know?
And then I'll shift and start talking about something else. I'll be like, yeah. And so anyway, peanut butter is one of the things that
Yes.
I eat on, yeah. So I'll go into a completely different direction.
But
But
yeah,
I agree with that. I agree with everything that you said, that it's okay to listen, and it's imperative, that you listen, and you don't listen to respond, that you listen to
understand
what somebody is
Yeah.
trying to say and how they're trying to convey that, and not to absolve anyone's feelings in that, because the way they feel is the way they feel. It may not be from your vantage point, but at least acknowledge, you know what, I hear where you're coming from, and I can see how you feel that way. Let me shift. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something that I say to my husband all the time. I say, and what we have gotten to the point where, everybody has disagreements, everybody has fallen outs.
Yeah.
But I went to this women's conference, and the pastor was saying, when you are a wife and you and your husband are going to have a difference of opinion, and I think this can apply to any relationship in your life, but when you're having an argument, ask yourself before you go head first into it, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Yep.
Is that fight worth having? Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And most people in an argument, everybody wants to be right.
Yeah.
I just want peace. I want happiness.
Right.
So I'm going to settle for the latter. And if that means me zipping my lip and listen, and like you were saying, and that's another saying I've said a lot of times, you got to listen to understand. Are you listening to respond, or are you listening to understand? Do you want to understand where the person is coming from, or are you just listening for your opportunity to jump in and take over the conversation? Because if you're doing that, what's the point of having a conversation? Because you're not going to get anywhere. So that's why I was open to what you had to say at our lunch. And I heard everything that you said, because I needed you to get off what you needed to get off. And then once you said what you needed to say, so that I could get a better understanding of where you're coming from, to understand why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, so that I know how to tell you, listen, this is how you're feeling, but this is never how that was never my intent.
Right.
So I believe that as long as, you ask, what can we do to continue the dialogue, as long as we make the effort to continue the conversation, the dialogue, to keep it open, and I make a concerted effort that, you reach out. I can't, because I'm like you. Somebody texts me, or if I text somebody, I understand you don't have to jump right on their response, but hell, respond, acknowledge that I'm at least asking or saying something to
Right.
you.
Exactly. Yep.
Nobody wants to feel like they're being ignored. Nobody wants to feel like they're unheard.
Right.
And it seems like for a while you've been feeling like that. And that, like I said, that's
wasn't your
not
intent.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that
I
wasn't
get
my
it.
intent, but that's never a good feeling.
Yeah.
So I will I'll continue to make a concerted effort to keep the lines of communication open, even if it's just a, hey, good morning
Yeah.
text,
That's
just to say, to let you know you're on my mind.
yeah. That fills me up. That's all I need. That fills me up.
So I hope, like I said, I hope your listeners, I hope whoever listens to this podcast walks away with a clearer understanding of what somebody may be feeling like, that has depleted their cup. And I hope that that person whose cup has been depleted feels empowered to address it, to let people know, hey, listen, I done gave you all my Kool-Aid. I ain't got nothing for me to drink. And then you will learn more about yourself in that season. You'll learn about your relationship. You'll discern whether that relationship is worth salvaging. If you are transparent enough to open yourself up to reveal how you're feeling, and that person does not receive it in the manner in which you're giving it, then maybe that relationship, it may not be one worth moving forward with, and that's okay.
Yeah. Very much so. Yep. That's it. So the doors of the church are open now that you
Okay.
have preached. Because the
You know
Lord
that
loves
no
you.
loves you, right? Oh
Exactly. So guess what though? We did it.
Yeah, we did. I was so
We did it.
nervous. I
Yeah.
was so
I
nervous.
told you didn't need to be. I told you to chill
Yeah.
out, get out of your head, because this was just going to be a good conversation between us. So regardless of where we land, after this convo, I appreciate you showing up. I definitely appreciate you reaching out initially, even if it was to try to drag me to a concert.
Right.
But, I appreciate that. We've been through a lot. We've been through a lot. And this right here, this conversation, this episode is really part of our story too. Basically what we just did, it wasn't easy, but it was definitely necessary. And the thing is, people, that are listening and watching this, you don't spend decades building something with somebody and then just kind of throwing it away or just throw it away without understanding how you got there. So, I hope that people really start to see that is what you have to do in order to preserve yourself. You talked about self-preservation earlier. So that's something that you really have to do. You have to get understanding in order to preserve yourself. So, we're not going to solve 40 years or 4 or 5 years of silence in one conversation, but we did take a step. And sometimes that's kind of the most courageous thing that we can do. So also for anybody who has a relationship or a friendship that's drifted or a connection that's still kind of lingering in your spirit, it might be time to reach out. Maybe it's time to say the hard things, or maybe it's just time to listen. Okay. Whatever the case, I hope that this episode reminds you that healing is possible and that it's possible even though it ain't perfect. Love is not always loud. Sometimes it just sounds like what we just did here. You have anything else you want to say?
No, you summed it up pretty much everything that I was thinking, feeling.
All right.
So yeah.
Awesome. So, all right, family, that's a wrap for this episode of Just Drawz. We hope you felt the love, that you laughed a little, and maybe even learned a little something about healing or learned how to engage in those conversations that you need to have with those people. So remember that this conversation or any conversation that you're having doesn't stop here. Follow us individually on social media and let us know your thoughts, share your stories, or just stop in and say, you know what? You are my friend. So until then, just be bold, just be beautiful, and most importantly, just be. And we'll catch y'all next time.
Bye.
All right.
Okay.
We did it.
Yay!
I know. It was great. And it was actually as long as I wanted it to be. I wanted it
Was
to run
it?
this long. I did. I wanted it to run close to 2 hours if we could, because I wanted this to be 2 parts. So Jeff is going to split it into 2. So yeah, it was great. Yeah. Great.
Well, good. I hope he's able to butcher it and chop it. I know Allison was walking in the background, but I hope they really weren't paying attention.
Nobody going to pay attention to that. Yeah. They'd be like, oh, that must be one of the kids. Yeah. So that ain't no thing. Yeah. So the only other thing that I want to do is maybe we'll do a little something for the thumbnail. So I'm going to do my little Mars pose.
Okay.
And so you'll do your little your little ball. Yeah, your little spin. Yeah. So you might have to come back just a little bit. Yeah. There you go. All right. All right. So we'll pose and then we'll just kind of hold it for a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
All right. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Now be sure to like, share, and follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and Spotify at Just Drawz. That's JUSTDRAWZ. Until next time,